Hi guys, so for my psychoeducational group topic, I chose dating violence, specifically is verbal abuse or physical abuse more prevalent among high school dating relationships? Just a brief overview of what is verbal abuse and what is physical abuse. Verbal abuse could either be overt or covert. Specifically, I will be looking at overt verbal abuse, which is defined as a communication intended to cause psychological pain and harm to their partner or perceived as having the intent to damage their partner's self-concept. Some examples are putting down, yelling, screaming, and insulting your partner, calling nasty names, judging, criticizing, and name calling. A little definition of covert verbal abuse is like brainwashing your partner or saying like subtle comments under your breath. Physical abuse is defined as the act of pushing, shoving, and throwing objects or grabbing your significant other. So, is verbal abuse or physical abuse more prevalent among high school couples? Well, approximately 12 to 59% of dating high school students reported perpetrating in at least one act of physical abuse in their current relationship. However, approximately 90% of high school dating couples use verbal abuse within their dating relationship. Is verbal abuse or is verbal abuse more frequently used among males or females in their relationship? Well, some researchers found that it is equally mixed and mutual and bidirectional in nature. However, other studies found that women use more verbal abuse in their relationship because they speak more on average per day and they are more verbal than men. However, overall levels of verbal abuse in intimate couples is relatively high for both genders. So, what increases the risk of verbal abuse among high school couples? There could be several examples ranging from dominance, relationship power, high levels of stress at work or at home or at school, relational conflicts with their partner, jealousy, low relationship satisfaction, low self esteem, decreased feelings of warmth and closeness with your partner, relationship duration, or frequent exposure to parental aggression. So, why is verbal abuse more commonly used in relationships than physical abuse? Because high school dating relationships, they may feel that it becomes a normative part of their couple communication. They think that it is more acceptable than physical abuse because verbal abuse doesn't show evidence. Victims of verbal abuse could be in denial because there are no physical or visible scars that remind them that they just got abused, like physical abuse. Victims of verbal abuse are at risk for serious consequences, such as overall physical, social, and mental mental health outcomes. But they're also at risk for school failure, depression, substance abuse, suicidal ideation, a negative self-concept, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, low relationship quality, and many more damaging factors. Why is verbal abuse so dangerous? Because verbal abuse is a kind of battering which doesn't leave evidence comparable to the bruises of physical battering. So the victim of verbal abuse may be suffering in isolation and silence, and it's not as recognizable or school counselors can't identify it as easily as physical abuse. And overall, it is more difficult. So overall, it is more difficult for school counselors to recognize or identify because there's no visible evidence, and the victim may become resistant to seek assistance. So the conclusion, what can school counselors or mental health professionals do? They should educate students about predictable links between different variables that may increase verbal abuse. Young couples need to be alerted to the dangers of using aggressive tactics to resolve conflicts. Perhaps an emphasis on self-control and alternative conflict resolution strategies is warranted. School counselors and the mental health professionals could help students recognize their personal issues and find safer strategies and approaches to overcome their personal struggles so they do not take it out on their significant other. As well as intervention programs should integrate techniques such as increase and improve positive couple communication to resolve conflicts. Thank you for watching, guys.